Welcome to the channel. My name is Mark Gingras, and this is where I do technology, teach, and create online content. So if you're interested in the technology used in order to make online content, perhaps to teach others, you're in the right spot. Today, I'm going to teach you how to do 3 different zoom effects within Final Cut Pro. This will help your videos come more alive, especially if the video is a still shot for a longer period of time. You want to break that up. So I'm going to show you the Ken Burns effect. And then I'm going to show you how to use the transform tool and keyframing in order to zoom to your precise liking. And then finally, I'm going to talk about mTuber's zoom functionality, which is something that I use almost every single video I make. That being said, let's get right to it. I've got a video up here on my Final Cut Pro now, and if I zoom out a tad, you'll see the video is not very long, but when I play it, you know, it looks like it's about 30 seconds long, but it's still. Now there's a woman there sitting in front of the beach, and we want to kind of maybe make it more alive. So the first technique I'm going to show you is the Ken Burns effect, which is very, very simple to implement within Final Cut Pro. And I'll show you a couple of tricks. What I want to do is I want to keep her steady for like the first few seconds. So let's get up to like 5 seconds. And then right here, I'm actually going to use the B command or the B letter and put a blade tool right across that so it stops. Now that's just going to be my starting point of where I want to zoom in. So the Ken Burns will zoom in at a interpolated pace based on the length of the zoom you want. So I also know that I want it to take this amount of seconds to zoom in. So I'll put the blade tool here. So I basically just clipped out what I want to actually zoom in on. So from here to here, let's zoom in. So we click on that clip. And then you come up here to the transform and the crop and distort functions. Click on crop, and you'll see, if the position of your cursor is not over the point where you want to crop, it won't show you any of the overlays here. So click back over here where that clip is. So you have it right here, this little red line. Now you can see the little border that popped up, and now you have crop, control, Ken Burns, and trim. So let's click on Ken Burns right now, and you'll see a start position and an end position. I want to start exactly full screen, so I'm going to leave that where it's at. That way the transition from where the blade was first cut and previously will be smoother. But I do want to end when I get a little bit closer, so I'm going to just drag this over and I'm going to move it more towards her face right there. So we're just going to click done, and I'll show you a few more features of this in just a second. Let me play this back. And you see how it's slowly zooming in on her over that period of time, but then it jumps back. So we're gonna fix that jump back right now. I'm gonna cut it right here. So this right here, this positioning, I'm gonna leave the same. So what I'm gonna do is click on this first clip, Control C, or Command C, I'm sorry. Now let's click back onto this clip here, and I'm gonna do Command Shift V. So that's a special way to paste where you can paste attributes only. So as you can see, I have the crop selected. Now, if there's other things on here, you might want to deselect them if you don't want those attributes to follow, usually like audio or something else. So let's paste that crop feature or functionality, the parameters. And so now we have the same thing, but it's still going to go inwards. Let's change that. So let's click on that clip, make sure the cursor is over that clip. Let's go back to crop, and it's on Ken Burns already. I'm going to reverse these, so to speak, right? So let's just go ahead and reverse it so that it just zooms back out. And I'll show you what that looks like. So now the transition, it's zooming in, zooming in, zooming in, and then it's gonna zoom back out, right? So that's the number one way to zoom in using the Ken Burns effect, which is very effective. But if you want more control, you can definitely do this without making all these cuts using the transform tool and keyframing. So let's just go ahead and start zooming back in somewhere right around here so we have enough room to do it. So what I want to do is I want to say, hey, right here, I'll click on it. I'm going to say I want to start zooming in soon right there, right? So let's click on this transform tool now, and you'll see what comes up is the same type of border, but this little button right here, that little keyframe. Let's add a keyframe right there. So I clicked it. You can't really see much going on when I click it. Now I'm going to hold the shift key and I'm going to hit the right arrow once. That pushes me 10 frames over. And so at 10 frames over, so I put the keyframe in. Now I'm 10 frames over. Automatically, when I actually do the transformation, that's where the second keyframe will end up. So once I make this change, which I'm gonna go ahead and first zoom out of this to about 25%. And now I'm gonna say, hey, I want to zoom in using the transform, and I want to zoom in to her right like that. And I'm going to hit done. Okay, now let me go back to zoom fit. And now let's just go ahead and first look at the transitions. So I'm zooming out, and then you see how fast that zoomed in? Maybe that was too fast, or maybe you wanted that. Add a little noise to that or music. Maybe that's what you wanted, but how do you adjust that? That's the question, right? So let's click on that clip where the keyframes are and do Control V. You see this window pop up for the video animations. See where it says transform all? You see these two little keys right here? That's what we're interested in. So let's click that down arrow by transform all. Let's just click on transform all. And now I can actually move these keyframes over more if I wanted to make it a slower transition. So I could play it again. And you see how that worked just like that, right? Not so bad at all. And if you want to zoom back, you can, what you can do is you can set another keyframe. So I'm right here. Let's go to transform again. Let's set that keyframe, right? I'm gonna go over 10 because it's just a good amount to start with, 10, right? I'm gonna go over 10, and then again, I'm gonna zoom back out to something small, and I'm going to try to make this fit perfectly again. It doesn't have to be perfect, but you know, you wanna get to where, actually, you might wanna make it perfect because of the next transition, right? It's very hard to tell. I thought maybe it would clip in. Either way, let's try that out. So we did that. Let's play it one more time. Actually, let me zoom fit. There we go. So it's zoomed in and zoomed back out to that point right there. And that's for the rest of the clip, right? So I'm going to click on this. Again, I'm going to hit Control V to get rid of it. And I'll show you the last type of zoom that I use, which is honestly the one that I use the most often. But now these are really easy to do, these zooms. All Ken Burns and the transform effect are definitely simple and easy to use. But I will show you this last zoom I have. If I go to my titles and I go to mTuber, this is a purchase that I made a while ago and it's proved very useful for titles and lower thirds and YouTube type things. But if I type in Z, I can get to the zoom effect. So there's a zoom fragment, zoom full, and zoom out. In fact, I've never even used zoom out, but I'm gonna show you zoom full right now. So all I have to do with zoom full is drag it down here, drop it anywhere I want, adjust the length of the zoom. Now it automatically zooms in for you, but see how it's not quite center? So I'm going to click on the zoom and we'll go to the parameters. So there's position parameter and there's zoom scale. Well, first of all, I'm going to zoom back in on her face. So I'm going to move this up just a tad and I'm going to scale it in just a little bit more so that it's right here. And that's all I'm going to do. So now when I play, it's zoomed out from the transform and the keyframing. Now it's going to zoom in for me with the zoom full function on mTuber, and then it automatically zooms out at the end. I believe the parameters are not too in-depth, but you can have a build in and build out. If I did not do build out, I think it keeps the zoom. Let's see, I've never actually done that. So you zoomed in, and then it just ends. Okay, so that's a good way to transfer, change the clip. What I would do if you wanted that effect is I would put the break right here. I'd put a break right there, and I just add a cross dissolve and see how that works as a transition. Because a hard transition is sometimes good, like a quick one. Well, that didn't work too well, but maybe it's because it's still loading. But anyways, those are the 3 zooms. I hope that you can find these useful. And again, tell me in the comments which one you prefer to use. Do you like the transform effect or the Ken Burns? Or do you use a third-party plugin? Let me know in the comments. And of course, if you like these videos, subscribe. I'm definitely interested in answering more questions from you guys. So stay tuned and I will come back and do another one. Bye.